again!
Yes, people, another edition of Knightz Round Table Discussion where we discuss all sports all the time. Got my guy, the very, very happy guy, the truth with me this evening. How are you doing, sir?
What's really good? What's really good? All our United fans out there. I know you guys were happy come Saturday night. A lot of United fans were rolling into Sunday. come Monday morning, a lot of them went missing, boy.
It's true. It's the Man United Arsenal review show. Unless you don't watch football, Arsenal got the 1-0 win, first victory at Old Trafford in 14 years. As you can tell, I have no motivation whatsoever to discuss this. But I did say, unless it was a draw, we were gonna have a review show. Truth, obviously, I know how you're feeling. You're on a high, absolute domination from Arsenal yesterday evening. Your thoughts on how you thought the game went?
You know what? We both predicted in terms that it was going to be a tight game because we didn't know what team was going to play. And that was the most hardest thing in terms of predicting the outcome of this game. We just didn't know what Ole was going to do. We didn't know what team Arteta was going to put out. We knew as I said, I told you the formation Arteta was going to do, and that was the 3-4-3. Solskjaer put out the diamond, which for me was interesting because he only used it once against Leipzig. So I thought it's interesting that he would go for it against us, go for the diamond. But then the reality of the match, it shows what TJ's fears were about Ole, that he can put out 4-4-2 diamond, 4-5-1, 3-5-2, 0-1, 0-1-9. It doesn't matter. If you cannot coach the players properly, you are going to struggle no matter what. And that is exactly what happened yesterday. You saw a team in Arsenal that knew what they were doing, regardless of the personnel. We set up in the 3-4-3 formation. We knew United are weak. I don't know why they're passing out from the back sometimes. It doesn't make sense. So when you guys pass it back, we know you're uncomfortable. Maguire takes too many touches on the ball. Lindelof can't really play out. Wan-Bissaka definitely can't play out on the ball. Fred and McTominay, they're not the best at receiving the ball. Luke Shaw's probably the best player, but even him, he's not, you wouldn't say he's anything to write home about. So we pressed you, especially in that first half, we pressed you hard, 25 minutes. You guys just giving the ball away. And then one of the things what Solskjaer didn't learn from the last time he played you guys at the Emirates, as soon if you guys bypassed the press or we gave the ball away deep, we got everyone back in a half and we knew you guys couldn't break us down. And apart from the last 5 minutes, we were comfortable, probably the most comfortable we've probably been at Old Trafford that I've seen in any recent time since 2006, So yeah, that's the story of how the game went down. For me, it was a battle of the two managers, and Arteta came out on top.
100% agree with everything that you said. Analysis down to a T. In terms of Arteta, we knew he was going to get a spot on. He knew what to do against Ole. Listen, the old man at the bus stop knows what to do against Ole. Everyone knows what to do against Ole. It's not rocket science. It's not difficult. He's not a master tactician. Like, you just know what to do. But listen, Arsenal got it right. Arteta got it right. The players got it right. And there was a couple standout players that played yesterday. Even though he was on a yellow card, Gabriel being one, dominated at the back. El Nene was out there looking like Jabi Alonso. The man there made him look like you're Javi Alonso, bro.
That's like, shocking.
This guy was picking up, receiving the ball on the half turn, breaking up play. Like it was absolute madness. And then, like, bro, it was like Thomas Partey was Vieira 2.0.
Yeah,
like literally breaking things down, receiving the ball, playing forward passes. Like it was absolutely a brilliant performance from back to front. From Arsenal. And I think the most damning thing about it is that when you do the eye test and you watch the game and see the absolute dominance from Arsenal, apart from 5 minutes at the beginning of the second half and the 5 minutes at the end of the second half.
Yeah.
To see a team that dominant at Old Trafford in the first half and in the second half sitting back and saying, you can't break us down, and still playing and monopolising the ball.
Yeah. That's a shocking thing.
Here's the damning thing about all of it. The only shot on target from Arsenal was the penalty.
That's the joke.
So
that is the joke.
That basically says to me that, like, bro, you just dominated the football without even creating anything. Yeah, and you still came out and won, and we'll get on to Pogba and the penalty and whatnot. But it's like, we discussed it and it was still weakness, because we did say in the preview that creating chances is one of Arsenal's biggest problems, and still not really creating anything, and you won the game. But in terms of the performance to a man, how impressed were you with the players, especially the three individuals that were brought up?
Yeah, so going into the game, obviously we had a point to prove. But for me, though, I'm not going to lie to you. Even though it was an amazing performance, you know, we talked about it in the preview, I kind of expected it, because if Ole was Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp, that game turns out much differently, because every top manager, every manager worth their pound, worth their pennies, knows what Arteta is going to do with the 3-4-3. And what you do to 3-4-3, you overload us in the flanks, overload us in midfield, and just get overloads going. And it's very hard for the 3-4-3 to transition from defense to attack. This is coaching 101. So this is what you do. And even though we didn't use the same formation against you guys at the Emirates, it was a kind of the same strategy. At the Emirates, remember, we pressed you high. Because, as I said, why are United playing that from the back? They don't have those players. And then when you bypass a press or we lost the ball, we had 10 men behind the ball, one running on the ball, and we're literally saying, break us down. And because we know you guys can't break us down. So it's very one-dimensional. So for me, even though the performance was great, I kind of expected it, had it in my head, because I did not think Ole had the capacity to, you know, to do what Klopp did or to do what Pep Guardiola did. And that's the issue. For me, this was the biggest issue. If Klopp was in charge of Man United, we're losing that game. And I'm going into that game dreading a 4 or 5-0. Or if Pep's in charge of that game for United, I'm being scared. But you got a manager there that just is playing checkers. Not even checkers. This guy's playing snakes and ladders or something. He's playing snakes and ladders or something. And everyone else is playing a different game. So, yeah, even though it was a good performance, it was made easier by the lack of strategy from Man United coming to the end of that game.
It's true. Absolutely true. And I mean, I think the positives for Arsenal, besides the performance, was I think Lacazette had a good game, to be fair.
Yeah,
he pressed high, was unlucky not to get the goal. Obviously, Aubameyang's got his first goal since the opening
game.
opening game of the weekend, and Thomas Partey's got another 90 minutes under his belt. Alongside the fact that Rob Holding came back from injury.
Yeah, I think that was the one shock, because, and that shows how much we don't trust Mustafi. We said, Rob Holding, how fit are you? Man said he's 75%. We said, okay, come in. We said, come in. But he, again, you guys just, for me, you guys, even though we had a good performance, we did what we were supposed to do. You guys didn't do what you guys were supposed to do and make us work harder. Because remember, it was only 1-0. It's not like, we could have scored more chances, but at the end of the day, it was only 1-0. And a lot of Man United players didn't show up, and all of our players showed up. So do you see, there's still work there to do.
There is still work there to do. There's no doubts about it in terms of how Arteta is going to be going forward now with Arsenal, because, as I said, that creating chances is still a big problem. No clear-cut chances are being created. And don't get me wrong, there was a couple last-ditch tackles from Lindelof. There was two. There was two last-ditch from Lindelof. But how does, going forward now, how does Arteta change that? How do you create more chances? Because you're going to come up against way better managers. I mean, well, let's be honest. There's probably only two managers in the league that are worse than Ollie, and that's what's my man, Burnley manager, Sean Dyche, and Slaven Bilic. They're probably the only two worst managers than Ollie.
I thought you were about to say David Moyes. David Moyes is a G.
Nah, Moyes' time, you should have won. You should have got something out of that Liverpool game. Moyes knows. Yeah. In Moyes we trust. They're saying at West Ham right now.
Going forward, what the game does, and I hope all the fans that were on Arteta's case give him some slack. He's only been in charge for 10 months. 4 of those months were COVID, so let's say 6 months, working with this team. And the hardest thing to change in a team is culture. We've had, since 2005-06, we've had a soft underbelly. That spine was always weak. Arsenal had no backbone. We were going to the top big 6 and just getting beaten badly. And what Arteta is doing, he's changing that culture. And it takes a long time to change. And you know what? It's going to take some time. It's going to take time. But I'm willing to give him that time, because people are so quick to forget the 6-0 away to Chelsea, 5-1 to Liverpool's, 8-2 United. All of these disastrous away defeats, coming. I mean, the loss to Leicester 2 weeks ago, last week, was a loss that you can take. We created chances. They scored on a counter. Just a little bit of game and little mistakes. What we don't want to see again is the Emery days, going 2-0 up against Watford, them having 31 shots on our goal. Those days are, for me, those days are over. And it's going to take time. So for me, he's got the whole of the season to figure it out. I don't care if we don't finish top 4. He's proven to me he's got a plan. And I feel once we get the players in place, next year will be the season where I judge him. So for me, again, this year is a free hit for him, for me. And I hope other Arsenal fans take it easy, because Rome wasn't built in a day. Everyone says, all the Arsenal fans are like, oh, we want to be at Liverpool. We want to do the exact same thing Liverpool did. Arteta at this moment in time is ahead of Klopp at this point in time. Klopp came in, when he came in, he lost 3 cup finals. Second season, he finished 4th. This season isn't even over. People were calling for his head after the 6th game. I was like, come on. Just relax. See how the season goes. We've won Arteta's already won a trophy. As a former Arsenal player, he's earned the right to have this whole season to flesh out the squad, get the players that he wants, and build something. And you can see he is building something.
I 100% agree. He's got a plan in place. He knows what he wants to do. He's getting the players that he wants in, and you can see what route he's going down now. I think he's doing it the right way, purely because and this is the thing. As much as look, football's about scoring goals. We know that, but how many years have Arsenal been a banter club and Arsenal fans been bemoaning the fact that you lot are leaking goals left, right, and centre? And now that he's gone a little bit defensive, now everyone's like, "Oh, get him out, Mikhail Pulis." All the rest of it, blah blah. Like the days, like you said, the days of the 5-1s and the 6-0s and the 8-2s. That's not going to happen under Arteta. It's not going to happen under him. So he still hasn't got the players in terms of going forward, but he's building the base and he's basically saying, "Look, we're going to be difficult to beat."
Yes.
And once we're difficult to beat, and because he's obviously still not finished with the defense yet. Yeah. But once he gets the defense sorted, then you can think about, all right, cool, let's now start going forward. Now, that doesn't mean that he doesn't escape criticism when you're playing the smaller clubs, because you should still dominate them and still be scoring 2, 3, 4 and creating loads of chances. But in terms of these big games, like those batterings that you lot would have taken in yesteryear are gone now, and the fact that he's gotten a win away from home against one of the big six. I mean, a 14-year hoodoo is now gone.
5 years since we got an away win against any top six.
Exactly. So I just wanted to ask you, how big is that in terms of getting that away win, and what does that tell? What does that tell the fans about what Arteta is doing? But B, how much confidence does it put into the team now that they can go away to all these difficult grounds and win?
That's the thing. I think you can tell it was starting to become a mental block. We go away, we concede the first goal, heads would drop, and the game was just a foregone conclusion. I remember few seasons with Man City that we've gone away. After that first goal's gone in, it felt like there's damage limitation. But now, even though we go a goal down, when we went 1-0 down against City a few weeks ago, there was loads of fight in the game. There was loads of fight. We had loads of chances. We were still trying. And as I said, the hardest thing to change is mentality. And he's changing it. And you need time to change. You don't change mentality just like that. It can't be changed just like that. If that was the case, United would have been back on top, straight after Moyes. It's not easy to change mentality. And, getting that first away win, especially at Old Trafford. Old Trafford, that ground has given me nightmares. ever since I got into football, that ground has been, like a graveyard for me. So it's a lot off the chest. We could go now next game against United all hyped up. We could go away to any ground hyped up, feeling we're gonna do this. So it's a better feeling. Much better feeling.
Of course, it is. It's as I said, with the record that Arsenal's had away at the big six grounds. I mean, as you said, 5 years since the win away from home against one of the top six is a crazy record for a club like Arsenal. And as you said, the confidence that gives you now, I wouldn't have that confidence per se against City and Liverpool, even though, let's be honest, there has been success there. But going away to Old Trafford, going away to Stamford Bridge, going away to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Was it called? Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, isn't it?
Yeah, called? We call it the toilet. So
going away to those grounds, right? Arsenal should be very confident in going away there and trying to get a result against these. So hold on, are you telling me the last time you lot got a win away against a big six was the Van Persie hat-trick against Chelsea?
No.
Or is that too far back? That's too far back, innit?
No, but the joke is, I'm trying to remember another away win between then. So the last was 2015 when we went away to Man City and we won a Cazorla free kick to Giroud.
Oh, yeah,
I think Cazorla scored the first goal. I mean, that's the last away win. But I think even before that, I can't recall in my memory before that Van Persie hat-trick another away win, to be honest, in between that time.
It's mad.
Yeah, so look, it's been a horrible, horrible record, and you know, the more wins that we get, the more we could just put that record behind us and to bed.
100%, and I agree 100%. But just as a final thing, in terms of Arsenal, considering now you've got over the hoodoo at Old Trafford, got over the hoodoo of 5 years, what is the realistic? Has expectations changed? Are you still looking at top 4 or top 6, or is it a case of, well, if we can go away to United and win, why can't we be in the top 3? Why can't we be? But just because obviously realistically, even though the season's mad right now, we're still expecting it to be City and Liverpool. But why can't you challenge Chelsea for 3rd? Or Tottenham for 3rd and 4th? Why can't you be in the Chelsea and Tottenham conversation for who gets 3rd and 4th?
Yeah, so at the start of the season, I know we've done the season preview. As I said, I was looking much higher. I was looking to challenge Liverpool to be challenging for the title this season because it's such a weird season. I still harbour hopes. We're only 4 points off the top. I still harbour hopes of putting a run together of challenging, but even if it doesn't come off, I'm not disappointed because this season is just a crazy. There's no predicting. What's going. We could go to lose to Aston Villa somehow, even though they're on a bad run now. You know, Liverpool are still stuttering along. They've had to have 2 80-minute goals their last 2 games. Man City have been putting rabbit out the hat their last 2 games. So it's just such a disjointed season. Tottenham got a last minute winner, 80-minute winner, yesterday. So no one just knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows. So it's just hard for anyone to expect anything. Anyone that expects for anyone apart from Liverpool, I don't even put Man City in the category because Man City have just been up and down. Only Liverpool should expect to compete for the title. Everyone else has to go out and prove that they can do it. It can't be just one win, oh, I expect to do this, or one loss, oh, we're battling relegation. No. They have to put a few runs together. And I'm not gonna expect anything from us until we put a run of, let's say, 5 wins together. Even 5 wins, like 5 wins would be good in a season like this.
Listen, trying to get a run of games together in a season like this is absolutely crazy. But I think just on the basis of what Arteta is trying to do, it's a good thing. And we have to welcome Mr. Black Star himself, Mr. KA.
KA.
Obviously, his guy, Thomas Partey and all that.
Partey. Hey, Charlie. Come on, tell me.
What's up, people?
Mr. KA.
Look at this Ghanaian flag.
What you mean, man? What you mean? We're bringing the party to the chat, man.
Mr. KA, thank you for joining us. We know you're just coming in from work.
Yeah, sorry for my lateness, guys.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, your thoughts on the Arsenal win at Old Trafford yesterday?
You gotta come to me already.
Yeah, I already asked the truth.
Oh, okay. No, I thought it was a good, well-balanced performance. I was a bit frustrated that we wasn't taking our chance in the first half.
K was vexed. He was buzzing off the phone, cussing, saying that we haven't had a shot on target. I was like, chill out, man.
I was because you know how these things go. You know how these things go with Arsenal.
Yeah,
it's just like it could have been Leicester all over again, where
I know.
We just lose in the last minutes, the dying minutes of the game. And it's just like frustration all over again. So
yeah, I know I was frustrated. Yeah, I was frustrated in that first half.
Yeah, I was getting worried because we wasn't taking our chances. We played well. We were obviously, but then we wasn't in the final third. We wasn't making the right decision on most of our attacks, and we wasn't just You saw the stats. De Gea had like 1 shot to save like most of the game, like literally the majority of the game until we scored. So I was happy with the performance. as we're heading in the right direction with the whole mentality and the culture that we're trying to build.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just Partey and El Nene, unsung hero. He hasn't really had much of a shout. It's just really been Gabriel and Partey that's been talked about. But I thought first half, most of the game, Partey and Nene, they did a job. Nothing too flashy. They just did a disciplined job, controlled the middle of the park, just like broke up tackles where they needed to, drove forward where they needed to. Who knew El Nene, box to box?
Yes, people, we've had to go down to 10 men. Unfortunately, the truth has had to make an emergency run. So it's just down to me and Mr. K.A. at this moment in time. But it's all good. Keep the show moving. Mr. K.A., first win for Arsenal against a Big Six club away from home in 5 years. In terms of the mentality of the squad, what will that bring to them going forward in the league and the Europa League?
I think it will help them because, as you say, it's the first win in a long time against the Big Six, and Arsenal have always got that kind of like unspoken pressure that we're supposed to be a big club, but we don't perform like a big club. Like we are not. We obviously we wasn't winning trophies in the sorry, excuse me, in the Wenger era. So with Arteta, he come in as a new coach. He wants to establish a new culture, a new mentality, and I think the win will help. It'll give him more things to speak about. It'll give the players more things to get motivated by because we've proven that we've gone and done it. And we've beaten a few big teams since Arteta's reign in all competitions. We've beaten Liverpool, we've beaten Man City, we've beaten now Man United away from home. So we're starting to prove that we can win away from Emirates. We're starting to prove that we can win against the big teams, and it just gives the players more reason to believe in Arteta. Like usually, Aubameyang and like I said, they usually are smiling and laughing, but it was good to see them on the pitch, all laughing and smiling together, and the team celebrating on Old Trafford. Man, it brings you back to the glory days of when the 1-0 win at Old Trafford to win the title and the Kanu and Wiltord celebrations, man. So bring back them glory days, man. We're Arsenal, we're starving out here. We need to be fed, man. We need to win that Premiership again. So hopefully these can be little stepping stones to the Premiership, to the Europa Cup, getting back to the final. I'm not getting ahead of myself, but like if it contributes to us getting back to the final, making a deep run in that cup, why not? Go for it. So I think it's a positive. I think Arsenal can use this win. We can use. Do you know what? I don't know why, to be honest, why it made such a big deal that we hadn't won at Old Trafford in 14 years. I feel like it came out of left field, even though it was already out there. That wasn't hard stat to find out, but I felt like leading up into the game, they needed a storyline, and all of a sudden it just went full blown, full steam ahead with this. Arsenal haven't won in 14 years. Like every question, every interview had to mention the 14 years thing. So again, added pressure, which Arsenal always gets put on to themselves. Not to themselves, but people put on them. So, and they're only human. They've got ears, they've got eyes, they see things, they see most things that players say. People say, they see most things that even other players say, like that I don't want to be rude, but that guy Tradini, like when he loves to chat, like the players see it, we all hear it, the fans hear it. Your guy should have given him a backhand at times, man. I'm dead you, bro. He thinks he's a world beater, mate. Like, but anyway, just to get back, not to go off on too much of a tangent. Yeah, it should really do really good for the team morale. It should do really good for us going forward, and hopefully we can push on and just make a good run for top 4, as I said in my previous videos.
I 100% agree with you, and as I said, it's a big step, especially because it's away from home, to go and do it. Just as a small note, how much easier do you think it was made by the fact that obviously we're in a pandemic and there's no fans at the stadium, especially at a ground at Old Trafford, which is got a reputation of fans being able to influence the referee? How much easier did you think it was for the Arsenal players to play at Old Trafford with no fans?
You can look at it and isolate it, but I think it's the same for the whole league. It's like all these grounds that are supposed to have a reputation, they're all going to be without fans this season. So I think that any Arsenal have the same chance that any other team will have. So you will see some upsets. You will see some big scores like the Aston Villa Liverpool score, which can come out of left field. You will see scores like that. Not to say they don't happen with fans, because we saw the Leicester Southampton score. Was it last season or 2 seasons ago? I think it was last season. But
last season, yeah,
it was last season, wasn't it? The 9-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will see some like upset wins, because without fans, it does take the pressure off the teams. There's no like people booing you. There's no singing of the manager out. Oh, I know you'll be singing it. I can see your background there, but there'll be no added pressure from the fans. There'll be no added pressure on the referee to give more penalties, which Man United seem to still be getting anyway. But but yeah, to the question, like I think the fans helped, but I don't think it's any different from any other game. I think without fans, that there is that pressure taken off, but you're still traveling to Old Trafford. You're still having to make that journey and prepare for it like a normal away game. So the players should still do their job with or without fans. So I'll be disappointed with or without fans if you don't win. I'll be happy either way. It's the same.
Yeah, it's true. You valid points all across the board.
What's your thoughts? Do you think it made a difference?
I think it made I think it helped Arsenal because there wasn't the added pressure, there wasn't the hostility, and there wasn't a massive atmosphere. Because I've seen, listen, this isn't the first time that Arsenal have gone to Old Trafford and have been expected to get some form of result. There's been I think even last season, Arsenal were expected to get a result at Old Trafford, and it ended up being a draw. A couple seasons ago, I think Arsenal was said they should walk against United 2-3-4, and they ended up losing the game. So I think not having the fans there helped Arsenal. I don't think if the fans were there, it would have helped Man United at all, because
I was going to mention that, because the fans probably would have showed their distaste for like the way your team's performing.
Yeah, because it was shocking. It was awful. It was pathetic. It was inept. I think you can find any negative superlatives to describe that performance yesterday. It was poor, and it's not the first time that as a United fan I've sat and watched this team and it's been so bad. And I think, as I said, I think the fans would have tried to encourage, but at the same time it could have destroyed a lot of those players, because the way how in which Arsenal absolutely dominated that game, the fans probably would have turned on most of those players that were out there on the pitch. So not having the fans there, probably it helped Arsenal, but it probably helped United as well, because putting a performance in like that with the fans there, listen, certain man wouldn't have careers after walking off that pitch. Certain man would have to go to therapy purely based on how bad the performance was. But we will get into that. But just on the final point, I did ask the truth this. I want to ask you, has your perspective changed? Do you see, after this performance, winning away from home at a Big Six club, can you see Arsenal now saying to themselves, all right, forget finishing the top 6, even the top 4, why can't we finish third in the Premier League?
Do you know? I thought he was gonna say, "Why can't we win it?" So
No,
I was
no,
gonna like, slow your horses,
no,
then,
no, no,
man.
no, 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 no.
Slow down. But like third. When you put it like that, that sounds achievable because I've been saying top four all along, and top four, third and fourth. What's the difference between third and fourth? So why not go for third? But it's still early days. I think. I think come Christmas, maybe March, February time, we'll know whether we can put in a serious challenge. As long as we can stay around the top four position come Christmas, then why not push for third? Why not push for second? I don't know. Who knows what the season's going to be like because Liverpool, they're without Van Dijk. That in the cup and the games that they've been without him, they haven't been the same defensive team. So we don't know. They haven't played Fabinho at the back. We're not sure if he can do that job for the season. So
And he's out now as well for a little bit. Well,
is he out?
Yeah, he done his hamstring in the Champions League
Yes,
game.
Yeah. He did. So Man City, they seem to be putting performances together, but they have their one-off random games where Pep gets a bit exposed and he's not the Pep of Barcelona. But I think we can do it. I think we can get top four, and why not top three? So if we can kind of just keep ticking along, getting those wins, start correcting the ship. Because as I said earlier on, again, not forgetting this win doesn't negate the losses that we had prior. So if we can right the ship, start stringing together a few wins back to back, then we can maybe steamroll and maybe get Champions League spot.
No, I don't disagree with you at all, and I can't see why Arsenal can't make the top four, especially with, as we've seen, the performances that are going on at the beginning of this season. Obviously, Boris is bringing in another lockdown. It's not affecting the Premier League, but we don't know how that's going to affect
They need their tax money, man. They need their tax money from the Premier League, man. So
I'm telling you, but we don't know how that's going to affect players' families and all the rest of it, and blah, blah, blah. So it's going to be one of them seasons where it's going to be very unpredictable. And as we can see in the table already, like, I think if you can win 2 games, it propels you up the table very quickly at this moment in time.
Same if you can lose as well, because
exactly.
Everton are flying. They lose James for a couple of games and Richarlison, and then like everyone's like, "Oh, were they just pretenders?"
Exactly. There you go. So it's interesting times, and we'll see what happens. But brilliant result for Arsenal. Credit to them for winning the game. Well, Mr. K.A.,
ready to talk about Man United?
Yeah. You know what? You see when that game finished, yeah? I was so heated. And it's not even because I didn't expect what happened to happen, because I did. But because the performance was so pathetic, right? I was just like, this man running this team, right, has gotten away with murder for 2 years, and there's still no system, there's still no style of play, there's still no tactics. After 2 years, and I sat and I watched Arteta after 6 months, because we won't keep the pandemic months. I've sat and watched Arteta for 6 months, and he's won the FA Cup, he's won the Charity Shield. Whether you see that as a trophy or not, it's up to you. But more importantly, we can see what he's trying to do. We can see that he's got a system. We can see that his players in the first, for example, the first 25 to half an hour, you blitzed us. High press, knowing that United are not comfortable playing out from the back. So you blitzed us, kept us cocooned. I think in the first 15 minutes play, I think it was 52% in Man United's area that Arsenal were in. Absolutely ridiculous. And then obviously, because you can't keep the high press going on for so long, dropped off towards the end of the first half. United had 10 minutes in the second half at the beginning when they changed shape, went to a 4-3-3, and Arsenal then took over again, started playing. And the most damning thing for me is that we started with a 4-4-2 diamond, went to a 4-3-3, and then I don't know what it was in the last 10, 15 minutes of the game because everyone just completely lost their shape.
You're trying to get the goal, wasn't you? Trying to get back in the game.
They're trying, but there's ways of going about it, and I'll get onto the substitutions and all the rest of it as well. But it's ridiculous for me to see that a man in 6 months, not even 6 months, because I saw what Arteta was trying to do in 3 weeks. I saw what Arteta was trying to do in 3 weeks, right? And still to this day, 2 years on, I couldn't tell you what Ollie is trying to do with this Manchester United team.
It doesn't matter because Rashi and Poggy, they're playing well. The boys are out there having fun, aren't they?
I hate that Rashi nonsense. It really annoys me, right? But we sat there and watched, and I saw you in the group, you and the Truth, talking about obviously having a debate at half time. You saying obviously we can't take our chance, didn't take our chances, blah, blah, blah. But it was so comfortable for Arsenal. It was ridiculous. Like at any point were you, apart from the last 5 minutes, did you have any fear that United could go on and do something? Apart from the fact that you thought it could turn out to be a smash and grab, did you have any fear in terms of those 90 minutes?
Yeah, the way you guys came out in the second half, I was like, oh my gosh, here we go again. Like they got to half time, because you know how in football, how that big psychological half time like break can be. If you're like still in the game, like, oh Lord, glad we're still in. We can go out, we can grab a goal, and we're like. So I thought you guys came out with meaning business, ready to change up how you played. You probably thought, okay, we've got away with one, but we're still in this, and like let's go out, win the second half. So that first 5-10 minutes, I was a bit nervous.
No, and I agree, because the first 5-10 minutes, the formation changed, and it was a bit more. There was a bit more about it, but I think that was purely because the first half was so bad. Anything would have been good at the start of the second half, which is why it looks like, oh yeah, maybe United get into it. But then Arsenal just took over, and what was it? United 2 shots on target, and they were both pony shots. One from Greenwood and one from Matic. 54% possession, which probably shocks people with how much Arsenal dominated the football match.
Was that for the whole game?
The whole game was 54% possession. And I'm just like, when you do the eye test, you'd be like, when did United have that possession of the football? Yeah. Because anytime you looked at it, they were giving the ball away or making silly mistakes. And it was just an absolute shambles. And I think apart from De Gea, and that's purely because they had nothing to do in the game, none of those players can walk off and say, oh, I had a decent game. They were all terrible. Wan-Bissaka, don't get me wrong, I'm a massive fan of Wan-Bissaka defensively, but offensively, he's got a lot of work to do because he's not comfortable in football and he doesn't go forward. Lindelof, what can I say about Lindelof that hasn't been already said? Shambles. The fridge on toes. Like, there's nothing I can say about him.
For people who don't know who TJ is talking about, the fridge on toes is Harry Maguire, Mr. Slabhead.
Listen, they know who I'm talking about. Fridge on toes, bro. They know what I'm talking about. You know what I can say, and I don't, you normally say this about the couch potato, but he had a decent game. Luke Shaw at left back, he actually had a decent game. Like, can't say that he had a bad game because he was the only one that probably looked.
He's had an alright start to the season.
But he's the only one that looked like he could say, oh yeah, I had a 4 or 5 out of 10 compared to everyone else. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, Fred, he's had an okay start to the season.
Fred kept on giving the ball away. And I love pass the Fred, but kept on giving the ball away and was making silly mistakes. McTominay. Oh my Lord. This guy, another one stealing a living, right? Playing at Manchester United Football Club, because this guy couldn't even go and play for West Brom right now. It's a joke. And he looked like he was clueless. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know what his objective was. He was just ghosted around the pitch, looking like Lurch. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, he was one of the worst players on the pitch yesterday evening. Pogba, terrible. Had a terrible game. And everyone knows me. I'm Team Pogba. You can't tell me nothing. But I can admit when a player doesn't have a good game. He tried, but it was awful. Partly because he's playing out of position, but it's not an excuse. Especially for the penalty, which was dumb. Doesn't make no sense. You're supposed to be one of the most talented, and you've got experience. You've been playing football at the elite level since you were 18, 19 years old. And for you to go in, I don't care if Bellerin went down soft. We know how the league's gone nowadays, especially with VAR. Like, you committing a foul like that, it's just petulant, and you lost your head, and that's ended up costing us the game, because that was the only shot on target from Arsenal. So he had a terrible game. Bruno Fernandes, shockingly bad, but I've been calling that from day. Fernandes, if he's not scoring penalties, he's not doing anything. Literally not doing anything.
He was getting assists though. Like, he was like pinging the ball about last
No,
season. You were counter-attacking, like, just like all good.
Listen, he had a couple of good games for us, but when you look at it on the overall, and I called him out. I thought, what game was it? There was a game, I can't remember if it was the Europa League or a Premier League game, where he was so bad, like giving away the ball, not doing anything. And I think he got man of the match for it. And that's when I knew the media had an agenda to make this guy look like the prince. And he was Ollie's boy. It was like, let's make Bruno look brilliant so that we can get everyone to get on Pogba's back even more than they already are. And I said to my missus yesterday, and I was like, I would have preferred anyone else on that pitch to give away that penalty than Pogba, because all the talk, which it was it's Pogba's fault we lost. Pogba did
but
this.
they don't need any
Pogba
excuse though.
Yeah, but because the agenda is all about Pogba. Pogba did this. Pogba. That's why I was just like, when he did it, I was just like, all people. Because if it's Rashford, it's just like, oh well, you know, Rashford. Why was he in that position in the first place? If it's Bruno, oh well, you know, why was he in that position in the first place? Why was Pogba in that position in the first place to have to make that challenge? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Greenwood, young footballer. Didn't have a good game.
I think he needs time back on the bench. Like, just
go back to taken out.
Yeah,
but unfortunately,
I think Ollie recognises that as well, but he doesn't know how to handle him. I don't think, and handle his development.
I think. Well, listen, this is where I will say, Ollie's in a bit of a predicament when it comes to Greenwood, purely because he's got nothing else. I know Tony's out suspended. But because you've got Tony and Rashford and you've got Cavani, only one of them can play through the middle. Only one of them can play on the left. The other person doesn't want to play on the right. So he's kind of got no choice, because Sonic the Hedgehog ain't going to do nothing, right? So there's no point having him there. One matter, he's not a winger. Jesse Lingard, he's completely discarded. Like, he doesn't want to know. So
he ain't dancing no more, Arsenal fans. Get out of here, man.
So he's got no choice but to play Greenwood. But Greenwood needs to be in and out. He's still a young boy. He's still developing. He's still learning the game. But unfortunately, United have put themselves in a predicament where they've got so many midfielders, but in terms of the attacking options, because they messed around so long with Jadon, that problem couldn't be solved. So I do feel sorry for Greenwood. He needs to be taken out, but he can't be taken out because he's needed. And then Rashford, as I said, everyone was gassed about Rashford's hat-trick. I was like, you've got to remember two things. One, Rashford's come on when all the Leipzig players are tired. And two, he's a confidence player. So when he comes on in the 70th minute or whatever it was against Leipzig, and there's so much space to run in behind, he is going to be effective. But we're starting a game against the Arsenal side that suffocated our back four because they know they can't play out from the back. And in the second half, sat back and said, break us down. And we know those are the two biggest weaknesses of Man United. So what does that in turn happen? Rashford looks average. Bang average. And it's because he's not a centre forward. He can't play with his back to goal. He needs space in behind, or else he's ineffective. Literally ineffective. And we saw bits and pieces in the first half where, because Arsenal were pressing us high on the halfway line, Rashford and Greenwood could kind of get in. But in the second half, non-existent. And I've always been under the notion that 11 players can't have a bad game. It's just bad management. Bad management. And Ollie has been stealing a living from however long. He's still here stealing a living.
So you agree with Roy Keane? If
Roy
it was
Keane.
anyone else, Roy Keane said if it was anyone else, he'd be out of a job by now.
Of course he would. You're 15th in the Premier League. Hold on, what is it? 15th in the Premier League, right? You've got 1 point from 12 at home, the worst start since the 72-73 season, right? And in terms of the points that he's got, it's the worst start in the Premier League since Moyes was in charge.
Ole at the wheel. Insert in the edit, insert here, Rio Ferdinand screaming, Ole at the wheel.
I'm telling you, and it's a case of, like, for me, I'm all about giving a manager time. But my whole thing is, if this was Maureen, if this was Van Gaal, if this was Moyes, right, United fans would be screaming for them to be sacked. But because it's Ollie, it's like, oh, let's give him a pass. Like, the guy, listen, the guy's biggest claim to fame is getting relegated with Cardiff, bro, and then going winning with Mulder. Like,
as a manager, let's not. As a player, he's got bigger claims to fame.
Of course he does.
To the kids out there, yeah, Ollie was a super sub legend for United in the late 90s.
But listen to what you said, super sub. So he was never the guy. He was never the guy because it was York and Cole or even Sheringham getting in. Then it was Van Nistelrooy. He was never the guy. He was just used to coming off the bench. And don't get me wrong, we loved it. The baby-faced assassin coming off the bench, the original super sub coming in scoring goals. But you've always been a side man, and you've brought that into your management now.
Oh, come on, no, you can't be saying this about Ole, man.
You brought that into your management.
You called him salad, bro. Dead food, bro. Nah, he ain't no side man.
Bro, dead food as a manager. Dead food, bro. Bro, that food that the dog won't even eat. That's how bad his management style is. And the damn it, hold on, Miss K, you can say that, but let's be honest. When like Ollie being in charge, do you fear Man United?
No, I don't.
You don't.
No.
You don't. But if you gave,
that's coming from me, an Arsenal fan as well.
Exactly. But if you gave Poch those group of players, would you say? Don't get me wrong, because I know his ties with Spurs, but take that aside. Would you say, because you know what he's capable of in terms of management and you've seen it, would you say you'd have more fear of Man United if Poch was in charge of that team yesterday? Put the Spurs thing.
Yes. No, Sean, not even thinking about Spurs, just talking about in theory, but I'm just thinking also about the pressures of being a manager at United. You can't just walk in and, like, just because of your pedigree, do a great job, because Van Gaal had the pedigree of he's done bits as a manager. Mourinho has done bits as a manager. These two are well-seasoned managers, and they didn't emulate the successes of United in the 90s as the fans would have liked. They've had some success, but it wasn't anywhere near. That's why they're not in the job now. That's why their tenures didn't last too long. So I don't know. Poch would have the team playing better, but who knows whether he was, because he was at Spurs. Okay, he did a job at Spurs, and I'm not taking any shots at our little cousin here, but what did he win at Spurs? What did he really do? He put the pressure on Leicester. He put pressure on Liverpool. Like, he dominated a couple of games. Did he win anything?
No, he didn't.
Got
But
to a Champions League final and lost.
I 100% agree with that. But what I'm saying to you is like you brought up Maureen and you brought out LVG. Maureen was a bad fit for the club from the beginning, but it was purely desperation as to why Maureen came to the club. But he still came in, won the Europa League, won a League Cup. Louis van Gaal didn't get enough time because you could see what he was trying to do. He was trying to get the players to play football. Don't get me wrong, the football was a bit boring, but he came in, got us back into the top four, won an FA Cup, right? Ollie's been
Louis van Gaal,
Louis van Gaal,
I just had to say that. Sorry.
Louis van Gaal, do you know what I mean? But both of them come in and won trophies, bro. Ollie's come in and he's basically gathered time from the misfortunes of other teams, like Leicester throwing away a 15-point lead last season for United to end up finishing third, right? Bro, like in any other time, no one does that. And we end up finishing where we were, which was 7th. But the guy stole a chance because the pandemic happened and we kept on winning penalties galore. Yeah. So it's a thing where
Leicester were on a bad run though from December.
Of course. But the thing is, all it took for Leicester was to win 2 games, and United don't make that top 4. And I don't care if Chelsea finished 4th and whatever. That's not the point here. The point is, if Leicester probably win 2 of those games, they finish in the top 4. United don't, and then this guy is out of a job. Anytime this guy comes under pressure, right? For some reason, and it's always when we play big teams, and this is the annoying thing. We play big teams, and as we all know, the one thing that we can all agree on, and the only thing that we can say about Ollie, is that he plays counter-attacking football. So we always end up playing big teams who want possession of the football and try and play this expansive football. And what happens? United reverts back, soaks up the pressure, plays on the counter because we've got devastating pace, and then this guy ends up keeping his job. Simple as. If you look at it, any time this guy's about to get sacked, it's normally we've got, like the last time, we had Man City away. Everyone thought that's the day that Ollie's going to lose his job. But we all know Man City keep the ball, they move it, they pass it, and we ended up killing them on the counter-attack. I think the other time we were, I think it was Spurs away that we were playing, and we ended up getting the draw. This time, play PSG and end up winning, and then play Leipzig and end up winning, but draw against Chelsea and lose against Arsenal. Like, he's like a cat with 9 lives. He's like a cat with 9 lives, and eventually that has to run out. It has to run out. It's mediocrity from a manager, but the board doesn't want to get rid of him because he's a yes man. So as far as they're concerned, as long as the yes man is making top 4, that's enough.
So what can happen? Like, what's going to change to get him out?
The only way we can get him, the only way to get Ollie out, bro, we probably have to lose like 7 games in a row, which is never going to happen.
Yeah, that won't happen.
The only thing that can happen now, literally, is that for any of us that want him out, we'd have to get absolutely trounced by like a Fulham or a West Brom or something, like get like a 3-4-5-0 against one of those teams, and go on a stupid bad run where we end up drawing and losing multiple games. But the most realistic expectation for us fans that want him out is we're going to have to wait till the end of the season, because if he doesn't
think as well.
If he doesn't make top 4, he's got to go. He's got to go. His saving grace is that he finished 3rd last season, or else he would have been out. So we us as Man United fans, because we're not allowed in stadiums, now have to sit and suffer and watch this nonsense until the end of the season, and partly to blame because of the other stupid Man United fans that believe what these media pundits are saying on TV and trying to blame the players for something that a manager hasn't done. Like Roy Keane said, the players are going to get Ollie sacked. Ollie is going to get Ollie sacked because he doesn't know what he's doing. I can't believe that I'm sitting there watching this, and I said, "Don't." It's his boys, isn't it? So they're not going to call him out, bro. The man that knows nothing about football on that panel, Jamie Redknapp, is the only one that called him out about his tactics and his system, saying we could see what Arteta had with his system and his tactics and his patterns of play, but we still don't know what Ollie is. Jamie Redknapp, you know, the man that knows nothing about football. He's all about adverts, right? And he's actually calling Ollie out. And the other two people, like Uncle Pat, who they nearly made commit suicide the last time against Spurs, bruv, and Van Persie.
The good thing he wasn't there.
I'm telling you. And Van Persie is the other person that called Ollie out and he wants to send shots. Bro, you don't know what you're doing. And it's because they have no loyalty to him because he's nobody to them. Nobody. But you got man like G Nev, like, and don't get me wrong, I love Gary Neville, but call out your boy. You look what they're calling out Mourinho. You look what they're calling out Louis van Gaal. You were calling out Moyes. Call out Ollie for his nonsense football. It's gone on too long. Too long. How have you got such a talented group of players and you can't even get them to function? Donny van der Beek, bro, I said it already. Man, them sold him dreams coming to this football club because guy, in terms of him, his ball retention, his football IQ is probably the highest at the club, but he can't get on the pitch. Guy should be playing instead of Bruno, or he should be playing instead of Pogba.
But they're never going to get benched. They're never going to get benched.
What he has to, and we all know Bruno's is Ollie's love child. So then bench Pogba. Paul Pogba's best thing that he can do is please, Pogba, I beg of you, unless Poch comes in, please leave the club because you're never going to get the appreciation. You're never going to get the respect. You're never going to get anything out of these fans because it's an agenda against him.
It's like the Ozil situation as well.
It's exactly like the Ozil situation. Exactly like the Ozil situation.
It's a gift and a curse of being a talented player.
But my whole thing is you haven't played to it, and same with Ozil. Ozil, you lot did it for a while where Sanchez was playing up front and Ozil was playing behind him, and it worked. And you lot killing teams. Same thing with Pogba. When Ollie first came in, Pogba played in the number 10. Not saying he's a number 10, but he was playing higher up the pitch. And what happened? He was a top goal scorer and top assister for Man United. And then they put him back in the double pivot where he doesn't want to be because he shouldn't be collecting the ball on the halfway line. Bruno can play that position. Play Pogba higher up the pitch. But, bro, this is the foolishness that, unfortunately, we have to deal with. And we all saw it come to a head in the game against you lot yesterday. And it's going to continue. It's going to continue. It's going to get from bad to worse. And as I said, more hard times are coming for Man United Football Club. More bad times are coming for the fans. And more bad times are coming for everyone associated with the club. So, bro.
So you don't think Pogba and Bruno can play together? Because that's one of the debates I was having in one of my groups today. I've been talking about Pogba and Bruno, how Bruno's not really getting the critics as Pogba's getting and the agendas against him.
Of course he's not. Because
he's not really been playing well this season.
He's been terrible. Bruno's been terrible, but he won't get called out for it because the media.
But he's supposed to be your talisman, though, isn't he? So that's why he won't get dropped.
Bro, my whole thing is, right, Bruno is that player, yeah, wherein which I'm trying to think of how to put it, but he's a player wherein which he's all action. So he's always trying to do something. Like I said, Bruno, for me, when he plays football, he reminds me of when Sanchez came to Man United. Literally all action, trying to play the Hollywood ball all the time. Like, just keep the ball and do ball retention. It's not every day trying to play that Hollywood pass. It doesn't work. So my whole thing is that me personally, Bruno drops out and bring Donny van der Beek in. Because I think Donny van der Beek and Pogba's relationship will flourish. But it only flourishes if you have someone holding and you play both of them as number 8. Why can't we do what City did with David Silva and De Bruyne with Pogba and Van de Beek. Before Pep came in, David Silva was playing number 10 and De Bruyne was playing out wide. Pep coached them to both play in number 8s, both moving offensively and defensively, because if they didn't, they'd be getting dropped. If we had a proper coach, you can coach Pogba and Van de Beek to play as 2 number 8s. And it won't even take that much because they've got the football IQ. As long as you've got the players in front of them that are going to make the runs and have the movement, and you've got someone sweeping behind them, which is what Fernandinho did for Man City, which
Who
Fred
would do
can
that for
do
United, though? Fred
can do it. Fred can do it. The only problem with Fred is that in that position is that he doesn't read the game as well. He doesn't read the game as well.
I don't know if I can trust Fred in that position,
so
man.
You might not
who will you place? Sorry to interrupt.
The only other person you can play is Matic.
Is he mobile enough? Like, is he quick enough? I don't know if he's got the pace to.
Well, this is it. So it's either you play Matic or you play Fred. You can alternate between the two. So my whole thing is, I personally believe in the smaller games, I play Matic. But in them big games where you know the other team's midfield is going to be very mobile, I would then play Fred. So you can alternate between the two. It doesn't have to be this one all the time or that one all the time. McTominay, it can just be used as someone that comes off. McTominay should be being used, how Van der Beek's being used, come on in the last 4 minutes, because he brings nothing to the team whatsoever apart from headless chicken football. But Pogba and Bruno, they can't play together, bro. They can't be in the same team, because I just see it open season in terms of the midfield if Pogba and Bruno are in the same team. Whereas with Pogba and Van der Beek, I think there's a little bit more intelligence there. And Van der Beek, people underrate the amount of like tackles and stuff that he was making for Ajax as well, even though he was playing in the number 10. And I think playing Pogba, Van der Beek, the team would thrive more than trying to fit Pogba and Bruno in the same team.
But again, we don't see nothing changing until Ollie's forced to, until he's like losing like 5 games on the bounce or something like that, and then the media is calling for him to change tactics. The fans are calling for him to do something different. We won't see anything happen. He's the worst kind of gift and a curse again last season, with like coming out of the pandemic and Man United coming back like so red hot with like Greenwood and Rashford and Martial just like all bombing down, all cylinders firing here with Pogba in. It was like Pogba came back from his injury, and it was the death lineup, as other sports would call it. And now he can't recreate what he had in that small window of like after the pandemic. So he can't purely because, bro, it goes in spurts. So we'll have a spurt and the thing is, after the pandemic, the one thing I will say, people didn't know what Bruno was going to do. So it was a surprise element. So it was a case of, we don't know where to pick him up. We don't know what he's quite going to do in certain games. So he was able to basically go and do what he wanted, alongside the fact that Man United were just winning penalties all the time. But now it's a thing where people have figured out Bruno and noticed that they can mark him out the game. And then what will he do? He'll go searching for the ball elsewhere and then playing dumb passes and just giving away possession, because his ball retention is atrocious. So for me, the pandemic was the worst thing that could happen, because this man is still in charge after all this time. And as I said, unfortunately, I can't see him going unless we go on a bad run, a very bad run. And I don't mean losing to big clubs. I mean smaller clubs getting panned by like Fulham and West Brom and all them, or we got to wait to the end of the season. It's as simple as that. Welcome back to the truth. He's recovered from his injury. Like he's
recovered from his injury.
I can't believe how much TJ must be ranting.
He hasn't actually. I thought he'd rant some more. It hasn't been that bad. He's been quite controlled here. And I thought
fair
he was going to go full Stephen A on us, but like, he's spoken like quite concisely and clear about he made good points.
Okay, fair enough.
But
Yeah, go on.
no, I'll go for it, man.
No, I was actually going to say that in terms of the United result yesterday, as I said, I don't like Ole because I don't like his as a coach. I don't like his style of coaching. I don't think it's even coaching. It's what it's what the Premier League and FA is trying to get away from. The coach that just sends the kid out there, have fun, do whatever. At the moment, I said all the super coaches are playing chess, so I'm not a fan of Ole. But in terms of the result yesterday, I wouldn't, if I was a Man United fan, I wouldn't worry too much. Only because Martial was missing and he is a big part of that United team. And I think Telles was missing and he provides more than Luke Shaw. What those players do is, get rid of paper over the cracks of some of Ole's errors. Because yesterday you're playing a diamond and your fullbacks were supposed to be getting forward. And we know Wan-Bissaka isn't the best at going forward. Luke Shaw, until the second half, didn't really cross the halfway line. So, if you got Tellers in there bumming up and down, that's how I'm whipping in crosses. It changes the game. And a close game like that, it changes. And Martial holds up the ball much better than Rashford. So, as I said, if I was a United fan, I wouldn't be too worried about the result yesterday. Obviously, I'd be worried about Ole, but not too much about the result, to be honest.
Like, listen, I don't know anyone that could be more of a fraud than the weatherman than Ollie right now, bro. Because the weatherman gets paid to lie to us about the weather all the time, bro. And Ollie is getting away with murder just as much as the weatherman does, bro. In terms of what he's selling, the dreams that he's selling. I think, don't get me wrong, I'm paraphrasing. I think in one of his press conferences, he said that something about, we didn't get our third win last season to the 10th game, so let's not panic. The 10th game. Could you imagine if Maureen would said that at United?
He'd be gone.
Maureen, but he'd be gone. But these dumb United fans allow this mediocrity, along with the fact that the pundits don't call him out, right, to say foolishness like this. And this is where we know that United standards from the dumb fans, and I call them dumb fans because they're idiots if they believe that this man can do anything with this football club, expectations are on the floor right now.
I heard an interesting thing yesterday. Someone said, and I can't help but understand it. Someone, I can't remember what channel. I want to give him credit. I think it was United Stan. I think it was KG from United Stan. And he says he backs Ole for the rebuild, but obviously not for any title pushes, not for the long term. Would you agree with that? And if you agree with that sentiment, would you allow Ole just to stay in there to get the team to that level? Like, let's say in January, or I don't want to say next season, of course. I think giving Ole another season is a mistake. But let's say January, let's say somehow he manages to bring in Jadon Sancho. And then in the summer, a new manager could come in and bring in a centre back. And now there you've got a team that's fully capable of doing some damage. Would you allow Ole this season of completing the rebuild and then allowing another manager to come in and take over and go for titles, go for trophies? Or is it as simple as you want him out as soon as?
Listen, Ollie came in as an interim manager, and he's been on work experience for long enough now, right? He's been on work. Don't get me wrong, he's done some good things. He got rid of the fat man, right? And he got rid of other players as well, and he's gotten rid of some dead wood. But we've still got so much dead wood left at the club, and that's not his fault, right? Because we got the board and Ed Wood would have to be accountable because they've just been just as bad, right? And he's brought in players. Now, I don't agree with all the players that he's brought in, but he's brought in Tellez, he's brought in Van der Beek. as I said, Wan-Bissaka defensively is brilliant. Going forward, not so. Like he's also made some bad signings. The fridge on toes. So he's not covering himself in glory. But I will say that he's done a decent job in terms of getting players out and bringing players in. It's time for you to go now. You've done your job. You've brought in some young players. You brought some young players through. You brought in the age of the club down, even though you brought it back up again with Cavani. But it's time to go now. Get lost. Like, you've had your time. Go away now. Let Poch come in and let Poch take over this team with these talented players, and we will see something completely different. You had your fun, right? I'm the manager of Man United. I can't believe my luck. I've stolen a living for however long. Like, let the fans now concentrate on what we need to do, which is getting back up to where we need to be, instead of you dragging this club down with your medieval tactics. No, well, there are no tactics, but your medieval methods with your rubbish backroom staff and just your nonsense. Just go back to Mulder. Like, go back to Mulder or go and make Lord of the Rings 4, whichever one you want to do. Ow. Like, just go away now, bro. Just go away. Like, I'm sick of him. Absolutely sick of him. And if he loves the club, like he says he loves the club, then leave. Poch is doing Monday Night Football right now.
Yeah.
Right, man's doing tactical analysis, talking about his time with Bielsa and all the rest of it, and his time at Southampton and Spurs and whatnot. Bro, Sky Sports know what they're doing. Yeah,
I know.
Bringing him in because they know the time is coming. So Ole, in January, just before the January transfer window, give us all a wonderful Christmas present and piss off. Like, just go. Like, lovely Christmas present. Bring Poch in. Poch will do what he needs to do with these players, and we can move on. Because if we carry on the way we're going with Ole, he's gonna die. He's gonna die. He's gonna die.
I think me and Mr. K agree that we want Ole to stay, and so I'm gonna be campaigning Ole in. I'm gonna have that.
Yeah, I wanted to stay, man. I was like just talking to TJ about it earlier on, man. Like the stuff he was saying about Ole, I was like, this is unfair, man. He's a United legend, and I know you shouldn't get too much caught up in like the romanticisms and with the rose-colored glasses, but he's Ole, mate. He's from the United era. That's why he should be given the time.
Yeah, you know what I heard? It was so good yesterday, and I totally agree with it. Someone was saying, look, Ole is being manager just like how he played football. He was happy to be the fourth choice striker.
Yeah, this is what TJ was
call him the side man, bro.
Yeah,
it was.
He could have gone to be a big striker at any team. No, he was happy to sit on the bench, wait for his chance, and that's how he was that manager. He's happy to just, play football, wait to see what happens, counter-attacking football, let the opposition play and see it. So I found that funny when someone said that. And that's a joke, I totally agree. But I think there's too much pressure on Poch coming in now. I think there's way too much pressure on Poch coming in now. What do you think?
Anything's better than Ole. Anything's better than Ole. Like, Poch can get the time to do what he needs to do. And at least we know with Poch coming in, we're going to have a system and we're going to have a style of play. I agree with you 100%. There's a lot more pressure on him now because his name is being called left, right, and centre by many different people. But I think it's because we've seen what he did at Spurs. We also saw what he did at Southampton. Southampton were a decent side when he was there. He went to Spurs and they overachieved. Yes, they didn't win anything, but they overachieved like massively, considering the fact that he brought them in and they finished in the top 4. And this guy had like 2 seasons where he had no money to spend and he was still finishing in the top 4. So we know what he can do, and he's got a pedigree in the Premier League to do what he needs to do. And he'll be working with better players, a better checkbook. I know everyone talks about we didn't buy this person, that person. Every manager, except for Moyes, because none of the players said no, they don't want to come. Every manager that's come in since Moyes has been backed at least in their first season with money by the board. That's the one thing we can't say. The board have backed managers in their first season, maybe not the second season, but in the first season. So if Poch comes in and says, all right, cool, give me Jadon Sancho and let's go and get another centre back. And fans need to stop about this Upamecano because he's already signed his pre-contract with Bayern Munich. That's where he's going. So give up with that. But go and sign a Kanate or go and sign someone else. And bro, we'll see levels. Imagine Poch come in and say, all right, cool, boom. Man's got Sancho, Martial, Rashford. Man's got Pogba, Van de Beek, Bruno to choose from as well. Obviously, you're not going to fit them all in that with Gunwood to come off the bench and all the rest of it. Like the toys that he would have to play with, considering at Spurs, he made Son into who he was. Yeah. Right? Lucas Moura, not the biggest signing, but Lucas Moura, even though you violated him in a Champions League final, made Lucas Moura into who he was. Gave Harry Kane that confidence to say, yeah, I'm going to go on and become one of the best strikers in football. Dele Alli came in. Obviously, he fell off towards the end of Poch's tenure, but came in from MK Dons and made himself into a first-team player, banging goals in his first season. So Poch knows what he's doing in terms of motivating players, and you're getting even better players to work with at Manchester United. Yes, the pressure's bigger, but your pool of players is a lot better. Yeah. Like you can't say the pressure's on 100%, and he's going to be made to hit the ground running. But I'm sorry, if that fraud can get 2 years and still not implement a style of player system, why can't Poch get the same amount of time? And he doesn't even need it, because in the first 6 weeks, we're going to see what Poch is trying to do. Just like in the first 6 weeks, people saw what Arteta wanted to do. Just like in the first 6 weeks, we saw what Ancelotti wanted to do at Everton. Man turned Calvert-Lewin from a bum striker. All of a sudden, man's turned into Duncan Ferguson 2.0, bro, scoring headers, banging goals, fun,
Duncan Ferguson
international,
wasn't that great, though.
Hey, Duncan Ferguson was a legend, man. He was a legend.
But what I'm saying is that we've seen what good managers can do for decent players, not even good players, decent players, right? And what they turn them into. When you're a good manager, you know how to accommodate your best players and fit the other ones in around them, bruv. What's Ollie doing for anybody? Well, what have you done for me lately? That's what I'm saying.
Did you just drop something? Did you throw your pad on the floor? It's heated, guys, man. He's trying to stay controlled for the video, man.
Like, in fairness, look, for me, what Ole has done to man like Donny is a sackable offence in my book. As I said, if Donny played against us, I would have been, a little bit more apprehensive. But when I saw the team sheet, and we talked about it in the preview, when I saw the team sheet and I saw Fred, and I said McTominay, I rubbed my hands together, because yes, Fred can run around, but Fred needs a direction, and he needs someone that could open up space for him, give the ball to him, receive the ball from him. McTominay just looked lost, getting put under pressure. Just like these British players, as soon as they put under pressure, they panic, they get scared, So you guys missed it. And I don't understand, and this is one thing that annoys me. And as much as I want Ole to stay, as much as I'm Ole in, it's criminal to understand why he's playing McTominay over Van der Beek. Like, everyone was saying play Matic. I'm like, why play Matic? You've got Van der Beek, who has played that role for Ajax. He can drop deep. He's mobile. He's not a mug. These guys think he's like another Bruno. He can go box.
Bro, this is what I'm saying.
You muted.
Yeah, he can tackle, he can pass, receive the ball easily. He could do everything that Matic and McTominay can do, and more. So I don't understand why he's not playing. But
bro, here's the prime example that Ollie doesn't know what he's doing, bro. Fred comes off.
I'll say go on.
Fred comes off, Matic comes on. Cool, fair enough, because Fred was playing at the base. All right, fine. Yeah. Bruno comes off. Cavani comes on, and then Greenwood came off. Who came on for Greenwood? I can't even remember. That's how bad it was.
I don't remember either.
Donny.
Oh yeah, and Donny came on.
Yeah.
McTominay stayed on the pitch. What for? What for?
Oh,
bro. In days gone by, right? This is a guy that apparently when he was on the bench as a sub, he was studying Fergie and was like, yeah, taking notes down. Bro, he was there watching Coronation Street just like he's doing now, bro.
But maybe that's the
watching
issue,
that
though.
dumb screen. But my whole thing is, in days gone by, Fergie would have taken off a centre back.
That's true.
And put on an attacking player.
That's true.
This guy took off attacking players and put on Matic.
Yeah,
or did like for like substitutions. When I
saw Maguire playing up front though.
They don't do that no more in the Premiership, man. Them good old days, man. We used to put
I know, send the striker up front.
I used to love those days, man.
Even if he would have done that, it would have been better than what he did. And this just goes to show that the man hasn't got a clue. And he's got to, like when Bruno came off, I was shocked, bro. I was like, man still hasn't forgiven him for blasting him at halftime against Spurs. So he decided to substitute him off, bruv, and then McTominay's still on the pitch. Why? Even if you said, do you know what? The only way McTominay stays on that pitch is if you said, all right, cool, boom, I'm going to take off Lindelof, put McTominay at centre back, and then get one of the attacking players. Bro, like, listen, as I said, it's going to get from bad to worse. I mean, United probably go to Istanbul, I don't even know what they're called, bro. They'll probably go there and win. They'll probably go there and win like 7-0, and then everyone will say United are going to win. Them dumb United fans will probably say United's going to win the league with Ole, and then go and get absolutely torn apart by a weak Everton side on the weekend. Because this is what it is. It's just going to be up and down until the end of time with this man. And the sooner he's out, the better. Honestly, the sooner he is out, the better it will be. And United can move on, move forward, and forget about this era. Because, listen, I said, and no disrespect to anybody right now, right? Because we're going through a difficult time through the pandemic and all that. Once Ollie's gone, bruv, man's joining the rest of the millions of people that are unemployed right now. Because he's not getting another job. He's not getting another job. Unless man goes back to Norway, he's not getting another job. Because no one is going to employ him. Championship, bruv, championship. Listen, he's going to have to go down to Conference South. That's where he's going. Conference South. He's going to have to manage one of them.
Dr. Martin's league.
It's true. I honestly, if anyone's honest, like even Ole in, what other team, even in Kazakhstan, is going to hire Ole? I'm not even joking. Like teams are looking at him thinking, wow, you've had Pogba, Bruno, Donny, Martial, all these ballers, and they still don't know how to play football.
Oli couldn't even manage my team right now. He couldn't even manage my team right now. And this is the point. Like, them players look like right now, like they're just going out there and saying, I don't care what Oli says, I'm just going to do what I want. I'm going to do what I want.
That's why it works against
telling them to go and express themselves.
Yeah, go and express yourself.
Go and express yourself. Play like you play for Portugal and France. Go and play like you're playing for Portugal and France.
This is your 98 Champions League final. How many times do you think he's probably said that to people?
Listen,
in the dressing room. You saw what I did.
Hey,
as I said, long live the king. We need
as I said, on a serious note, the fact that people, honestly, the fact that you've got fans, not just these two who are Arsenal fans, you've got fans all over the gaff saying Ollie in, tells everyone everything they need to know. But still, you got these imbecile Man United fans that actually believe that this man is going to do something when all other clubs are rubbing their hands together saying, yes, Ollie in, bruv, keep him in. That tells you everything, because we did the same thing when it was Wenger towards the end of his tenure. We were saying Wenger in because we could see what was happening. No one was scared of Arsenal Football Club towards the end of Wenger's tenure. Same thing with Emre. We were saying Emre in, bro. So the fact that now teams are bantering us saying Ollie in, how is you as an United fan can sit there and say, yes, let this man, give this man time, trust the process.
It's because of his ties with Fergie. Like, people just need to just let go of Fergie. He's not the manager of the club anymore.
It's dead now. He's gone. He's gone. Fergie's gone. That era is gone. Let it go. Just like in Frozen. Just let it go, bruv. It's just like the kids sing. Let it go. It's done. The process, there was never a process to begin with. There was never a process to begin with. So what we're trusting now, I don't know. But I can't put my faith in a man that I'm watching, and I know that there's other men that haven't got that don't get half the time that he gets and can do a better job. And all the arguments will be is, United finished third. And as I said to Mr. KA, it's because Leicester threw it away, not because United did anything.
And this is another thing. I had a lot of United fans, obviously not yourself included, but United fans were saying, finishing top 4 doesn't mean as much as it used to. First of all, everyone's got money now. Every team up and down has a certain amount of money where they can attract something. And there's not anymore that player who stands out above the rest. Yes, Jadon Sancho is good, but he would take a long time to get used to Man United, or just get used. And if anyone watched German football, he had a good time in Germany, but there's still loads of weaknesses in him. I wouldn't call him a blue chip player. Obviously, someone like Mbappe is a blue chip player. Jadon Sancho is just very good, a very good player. And United will have to pay over the odds for him.
Now, more than ever.
Yeah, now more than ever. But there's other players that you could find. For me, Saint Alan Maximum, my boy. Man like Saint Alan, yeah. For me, he would do as good as a job as Jadon Sancho.
Just not with Ollie at all. But as I said, credit to Arsenal for getting the 1-0 win. It was a dominant performance, not unexpected. 14 years down the drain because Ollie is a shit manager. And we move forward to see how Arsenal will perform and Arsenal will go forward, and how low Man United can sink with this man in charge and how many lives he's got left, because obviously he's got cut with 9 lives. Huh?
How many? Where are you guys in the table?
15th.
I mean, check. Oh, 15th. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. And on that note, we're going to end it there. But I want to say thank you very much to my guys, Mr. K8 and The Truth.
Thank you to TJ.
Before we finish, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and all the rest.
Are you Ole in or Ole out? Guys, we want to hear your opinions. As I said, as Arsenal fans, we want Ole in. So let us know your opinions, guys.
There you have it. Ole in or Ole out. And more football talk will be coming very, very soon. We got one more week and then we got international break. As I said, we're going to fit in. We're going to fit in the international break because we're not going to be talking about football. Yeah. We're going to try and fit in the WWE top 5 debate. Yes. And we're going to fit in and finally that
was my rock impression, guys.
We're going to me, myself, and I don't need anyone else. We are going to bury Mr. KA and The Truth in the GOAT debate. We're going to fit that in as well. But thank you very much for watching, guys. Have a good one. Peace.
Peace out, guys.